Ta-da! They kind of look like me too. Oh man, okay. Yeah, let me go ahead and knock this out right here. Bring y'all into my what I'm creating right now. Let's see if I can get y'all a good angle. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's a good. Oh. Whoa. You're not driving. Yeah. Peace. You know what it is. You know what I'm saying? How that lightning look. Whatever. Let me see. Bam. Okay. Yeah. Peace and greetings to all. How y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? Let me jump right into this. Sometimes I be debating whether to do this on the camera, my phone, or whatever. Let me see if we can get the lighting. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, debate to do this on my phone or what. The camera didn't charge. I was like, okay, I'll just do it on the phone. Let's do it on the phone. Come on, light. Bang. Okay. Yeah. This masterpiece is shout out to everybody. Greetings. Greetings. Much love to you all. Wherever you are on your journey, could have been anywhere. Now you're here with me today. This masterpiece right here, man. In the past, I'm like painting something. So, in the past, if you don't know me, if you're just now with me on this journey, let me tell you something. Like, it's not about credit when it comes to artists, but I'm letting you in the life of a creator, an artist, a painter, the life of someone who creates, someone who y'all don't be realizing, like, when y'all be asking folks to be doing stuff, you're telling them to put their whole life to the side, and I don't think y'all really be knowing. Shout out to the artists, whether you, whatever type of art you do, writer, poet, all walks of life. If you want to call yourself an artist, but when I'm talking about the ones who, you know what I'm talking about. Like, we put so much aside that is not even, that's so overlooked. It's like you asking me, bruh. Y'all asking me, oh, can you create this? Can you do this? Can you do this? I'm at a whole new stage in my life right now. This life, this stage right now is really pouring into me. The other masterpiece before I talked about, and these are just not the masterpiece I did before. These are hours apart. Like, literally, once I finished that one, this one I immediately got on, and I'm expressing y'all about, like, even everything. But let me tell you something. Like, I cried creating this, and it may sound wild, but I cried. And when I mean cried, it's like, I don't think people. I'm gonna bring you into my world, to my universe, and so forth. People, I don't think humans or people realize that what it takes, or what the emotions they experience for certain artists is different. I may be, you're talking about going through certain things with your real world experiences. You're talking about, let's say you could have had someone transition to death or something. There's a lot of things that go around when you're talking about creating and trying to maneuver through life, through a business, through everything. And, some people don't really know the backstory to what it took someone to get there. And it's truly, from my experience, it's always been bigger than the money. It's not that certain, it's because the thing is this, is that from my experience, I have been in environments where, and seeing how people were driven and, you know, more so in their ego about the money and so forth, to each his own. And I've seen people lose their self in the idea of the material so much to where they forgot about their true value, their value of who they are and what they're here to do. You know, I really start to reflect back on even how, what it took to even me to get to this place. See, the thing about my artistry is that it reflects who I am, the value. And to me, there's no amount of money. Like my creation, when I think about, like, I feel with artists or myself, I have a connection with, you know, my connection is deep, or it's like the divine, like a vine from the source to connect, you know, that connection from God, the Most High, to be able to use the tools or the natural abilities to express it in my own unique way. You know, so, and you know, some people will get fired up when they feel like someone copies or do something. I honestly tell myself, it's like, people can copy something, but they cannot duplicate what you've done. Someone can paint the same thing, but they cannot duplicate every detail. Meaning that they cannot duplicate your pain, your experiences, you know, the emotions behind your experiences, what it took for you to get there. No one could know the depths of that wound or that scar more than you. So this part of my journey reflects that. There was a part of my journey as an artist that there was a part where I was focused on money. And that's because I realized, like, due to the programming of the world, I still knew my value, but at the same moment, there were moments where I had struggles with, like, what my value was really in. And there were moments where, when I was living in a hotel, when I was trying to be self-sufficient, you know, gain a sense of security, there was moments where the hustle and bustle, the false, I was so consumed by, like, more external things rather than the internal value of what it is that, you know, source, or what it is I need was in the process of being rebirthed through. You know, there were moments I reflect being in a hotel where I didn't know where, you know, you can say homeless or whatever. I didn't know where I was gonna get the next meal. I didn't know where I was gonna stay. I'm gonna be honest, like, I didn't know where I was gonna stay. And this is not looking for no sympathy or empathy. This is just me speaking the fact of leading up to where I am now, because this reflects who I am now. Those moments I reflect on that and the memories around it, where I just needed like $50, $60 to get a cheap room or whatever, or I knew I could, like, my ability, I knew I can create something. I knew I can get something, or I would try to just connect with someone, because that's kind of all I knew at that moment. And now reflecting on that, I realized, like, I was part of a false program to where, you know, you seen people, I thought I had to get noticed by this person, connect with this person for my art, my creations to be what it is, and for people to see the value. But a lot of what that was teaching me is that I needed to see my own value. But where did that value lie? Did it lie in the fact of the money that I was receiving, or was it more important for me to see how limitless my gifts were, or infinite, or in a way of, like, seeing the value, how this is something that is given to you, and being that it's giving from a higher power source, then there's no amount of anything. You know, I heard someone say, like, the journey in itself is the reward instead of, you know, the destination. So when I reflect on the places that I was when I was creating, but seeing that I was trying to receive and get things from unfulfilled place. Now, it's not that I didn't love what I was creating and doing it for people, but there was no, like, I was still living my truth. It was just that phase of my life to where I realized, like, you know, it really set into where, you know, this is a destination, but this isn't my all be all. Then that's when I become to realize, as you see now, like, this masterpiece symbolizing this is a lotus. So I'm that's what I'm doing now. I'm currently, that's why I was doing painting like more leaves for the lotus. And the process is where I'm at now symbolizes how me watering myself now. Now, where I was is that I wasn't watering myself. I was in a phase of my life where I was going through dark moments where I had to become the light. I was alone. I was on a path to where I didn't really know, you know, who I could count on. A lot of things in those dark moments where it seems like there was no hope, I was forced to see and have the courage to have faith in my abilities, you know, in my natural abilities. Can I come up with something to create? You know, that's when I got into even the photography aspect, the art, and I was still creating my videos. Like, if you go back further back, I was still creating my videos. But this is the authentic aspect where, again, I'm bringing you into my world. I gotta let that dry. Bringing you into my world, but it's more so like now you get to see, like, it's the patience in the journey in itself that is rewarding. Because at a point in time, I was like, man, you know, I can see this country. You know, this country is centered around, or the environment, or, you know, the false narrative of what value really is. It was focused on just making it. Like, oh, you get to where you get, no matter how you got there, but you made it. And then I realized if the journey is the reward in itself, I've already made it. So this is where I am now. I'm still creating this. I'll give y'all a close up. I'm still creating this, but I'm gonna let you in on the secret of, like, what it actually is saying. Now, the beauty of this is where I'm at now. I'll set it up so y'all can see it to where, you know, the beauty of this right now. Well, I'll let you get it close up too. The beauty of this now is that in the heart is a little boy, you can say a man, it doesn't matter. And what this symbolizes is going to, you know, going at a pace, at your own pace, at the beat of your own drum. And that's what he's doing. I got to add more details, but he's drumming because our heartbeat is our own rhythm. You know, of course, crown symbolizing, like, it's more than just royalty. You are, you know, we are in a way, or me symbolizing the sense of, like, you know, me accepting that I crown myself rather than someone else outside of me feeling like they have to, you know, it's more so like not looking for that acceptance or that approval, because everything is within me. So if everything is within me, I'm everything reflecting that of royalty, beauty, you know, the dark, the light, everything that is creation. So, you know, you see the little boy that is, you know, basking in, you know, the of life, the joy, the bliss, and so forth. And, you know, the beauty of all of this is, set y'all up here. The beauty of all of this is that, again, what it took for me to get here. There we go. Just like zip. Go back out, fly. No! So the beauty in what it took for me to get here. And the thing about all of this is that life in itself, it's like, as I'm creating this, I'm telling y'all, like, I had to go through the emotions. I have so many memories flooding in right now about not only how I took what it took for me to get here, But that's, I feel like, the thing is missed the most when it comes to an artist, and I'm telling you from my own experience that these are the things that are not really discussed, or you don't really see the backstory in how we are and who we come to be. Is that there's different layers to us, as an artist. There's different layers. There's certain things people know about me, and there's certain things people don't know. There's certain things I keep disclosed, but only I know to the depths. And this symbolizes like the growth of who I am and how I became and becoming who I am. So the little boy, of course, is the innocence. And then now again, I'm in this stage of watering myself, healing, now learning to what, in that relaxing, in that meditative place, or in that place of just stillness, the memories come up. The things come up with what I've experienced, what I went through, the traumas, what I also inflicted onto other people. Now it's like this is a huge turning point, because I got to realize, like, okay, how could I use my gifts, my natural abilities, to put this into what I created? How could I talk about it? How could I express it? So an artist has a way of not saying things, but expressing it. So the beauty of all of this is that the lotus, if those of you don't know, is the lotus leaves is, as I'm being watered, the lotus is a beautiful symbolic aspect of metamorphosis, in a way to where something that comes from the mud, the murky, the darkest depths of things that some may see as disgusting, or in a way of, what we tend to overlook in a way. And so with that, it's, again, if you see societal norms, or if you see a country that is so focused on the outcome, or, oh, you made it no matter how you got there. But it's the fact of, I'm giving y'all like the authentic aspect of, again, me having, not cutting corners, me having to go through things where I told myself, like, when I was creating this, I'm like, how did I get here? Like, wow. Through the depression, through the mental illness, through the childhood traumas, through the, toxic relationships, from being toxic to carrying certain narratives, to believing certain narratives of myself, to walking in courage, to being able to face my own fears, even in the moments of where I felt like I was alone, where I felt like I didn't have any guidance, where I had to really go within myself, come back home to myself. Because that's why I feel like a lot of this is so important for me now, is because this is a part of me coming back home to myself, within myself. Watering myself is watering the little boy in me who deserves that nurturing, or that part of myself embracing me again. So in accepting that, like, these memories that have been flooding in is coming from so many relationships, the most important relationships that I thought that was important, me having to face the reality of people that I won't see again in the physical, whether that's family members, friends, and so forth. And that's the thing that is overlooked, and what people don't realize as artists. It's like, we go through things, whether it's music, whatever you do, we go through things that people have no idea. To where I saw this quote, or I saw this post, it says, and I really feel this, like, I gotta see how can I word this, because it's not about being flagged, it's not about none of that. It's really being authentic. Like, and I'm not in any way encouraging violence, self-harm. I'm not encouraging none of that. From my experience, I'll just be real. Let me tell you some real shit. Where my paintbrush at? I'm gonna be real, like, this right here has kept me from, I'll just be real, this has kept me from prison. This has kept me from suicide. This has kept me from really walking away from life. A lot of things. This has really kept me from, and most importantly, this has kept food on the table with myself and everything else. This right here has kept me from a lot of things. And I feel like a lot of artists, I know you out there, it's the place that I've got to, the peace, the how could I say this? It's like, I can't even put it into words. It's just like something, where I had to learn not just to be self-sufficient, but the self-control aspect, the discipline. When I'm talking about someone who had to learn as a man to navigate his emotions. So now I'm sitting here like, the discipline in doing this rather than getting, a gun or something and doing something rather to harm myself or harm someone else just because I may not like what they have said, or even what I went through in the past, and then to even be attacked just because of, the discipline or the spiritual warfare, and even just creating rather than destroying another person with my words, another, there's things where I'm talking about, even in this last couple of months, the things that have been said and so forth, the relationships, the partnerships, the friendships that, you have to sit back and analyze and be like, you know what, this no longer serves me. So respectfully, I got to grieve this. And then the whole most important part, the integrity. It's like, yo, I could fuck you up, but I'd rather put that energy into my masterpiece. I'd rather do that. It's real and authentic, to where a lot of us as artists, depending on your message that you're sending, this the intention behind the fact of the bigger message is me now as returning back home to myself and listening to my own guidance and the guidance of the source. I realized, I was like, in breaking generational chains and cycles, I started to become more self-aware that fuck what anybody else got to say, man. Forget it. This is legacy. This is something, what can you create here beyond your physical? And so that's what I feel in essence of like, what going from the micro to the macro, from the physical to the spiritual and so forth. You're talking about to the depths or the level of like, oh, I could have done this. But then I tell myself, I'm like, yo, let me realize and take all of that pain, take all those experiences, the things that people don't see, but behind the social media accounts, behind the lens and all like that, the naysayers and so forth. But yet, can I have the self-control or the discipline, the self-awareness to really alchemize that shit? And that's what this is. It's alchemizing. Whether, you're talking about something that I knew I naturally had because I didn't, at a moment, whether I had, because from my experience, I didn't, it's amazing because I hated painting. And all of this is painting and just a marker, like certain detail. I hated painting, y'all. I hated it. I'm just being real. And it's not that I hated with a disgust. It was the fact of, I got more introduced to creating art as I went through school or in high school. I just used a pencil, yo. I used to just use pencil, but I was still very detailed. There was a point in my life where, again, I realized like, I started to realize like, I took what I went through and started to realize I was being rebirthed through it. I was like, oh my gosh, I started to realize like, let me use this to create and expand. But I hated painting. And then I realized it was a part of myself that I did dislike. And what it was is that the part that I hated was me stepping out of my comfort zone, me getting out of my own way. So I started like really getting into painting like in high school. And the thing about that experience is that one thing I realized with artistry or just creating is that the importance of it all is me realizing, I'm gonna sit down for a little bit. Me realizing that that your gifts can, you know, they're here for a purpose that, you know, we think that is just for us, and in reality, yes, it is given to us, but it's also as a message to, you know, help inspire the youth, most importantly. And so that being said, I realized I was like, there were moments where, again, I came and went, you know, my art thing came and went. I'll be like, just like, there was points where, again, where I even hated to speak a lot. But then I became so, you know, realized I was a natural speaker, comedian, just natural with a lot of things. But with my artistry, and this is why I realize it's like a part of our artist is like we can't hide from ourselves. We dig down so deep to where when it comes to even pricing, for me, again, when it comes to even certain things, I had to learn the structure behind it. I had to learn even the fact of now, when I say this is more intentional, I had to see the parts of myself that I really hated and disliked and what the world told me to hate. That was one of the most important things, is the beauty of seeing the little boy that looks like me has a lot to do with the imagery, has a lot to do with my internal world and what societally or what you don't see broadcasted so much, you know, when it comes to empowerment behind darker men that look like me, little boys that needs to see the importance of watering themselves, their emotions and so forth. So there were moments on my journey where one of the most important ones where I got out of a violent relationship where I realized that I had, let me see, this was around, I would say the years of, from, like I've had what you call like droughts of not even creating nothing. And that's why I feel like I realized I was going through a lot of things karmically. I was going through a lot of self-discovery. And I want to say between the years I was in this relationship, 14, 16, 17, or, you know, leading up to those years, at a point in my life, I was so solely focused on basketball. I was doing a modeling thing. I was just out a lot. And I realized a lot of those things were, again, at that moment, I didn't know about a lot of repressed emotions that I had. A lot of narcissistic behavior, a lot of behavior patterns where even though I was out in the limelight of doing modeling, I realized like internally I was going through a lot of shit that I was running from. Even through a lot of things that was carried through my family lineage that again was internalized, that was not ever talked about or acknowledged. So I remember specifically being in this relationship where at first it hasn't ever been my intentions on hurting anyone. What I came to the self-realization about, again, through my videos and through my experience, is how when I reflect on the relationships, partnerships, you know, not having a genuine support system on how to navigate those emotions, how those memories are, the body itself, you know, subconsciously keeps the memory of childhood traumas or experiences, you know, a lot of things with control and reenacting this behavior. And these patterns start to consume me to where when alcohol was involved, a lot of things to where the relationships I was in, you know, I was searching so much for that fulfillment, that approval. And I thought at the moment that this was love or this was how life was supposed to be. But in reality, the there's different phases that I went through. That relationship really brought me back to art. Around 2016, it got to a place where it was so toxic to where I told myself, I was like, yo, what, who is this? Who are you? Where I was doing a lot of things, didn't really care about my well-being sexually, just going out there meeting people, doing a lot of things to where I'm like, yo, and I was not even creating art. I was so focused on, like, again, modeling, booking gigs, basketball, just being out there, but not having no self-awareness in a way of what I really came here to do. So that relationship, which I exited in a way of still not facing who I really am or acknowledging a lot of things, which I would say was a part of my coming into my awakening, or coming into at that place, coming into my artistry again. Because I had literally went from a relationship I knew I had to get out of, and my only escape was at that moment to get away from the environment and so forth. Again, this was a pattern that was ongoing, to where I realized now at that moment I was running from myself. That was a pattern of what I learned from in childhood, of being, never really having a secure place, physically, but also to the depths of not really having emotional security. So that inner aspect of me reflected outwardly. So where I did not feel safe and secure, you're talking about not in just the relationship with myself, it reflected that back to the women that I was with. And that's how I even gradually got into relationships with men, because it got so bad, and I didn't really know it then, to where I could not trust women. And it wasn't the fact that I couldn't trust them to the depths of who they are. It was what was shown to me in the childhood, where I acknowledge now to realize, like, wow, I went through so much with the opposite sex, to where my emotional security, or my feeling of being worthy or feeling safe and secure with a woman, I never acknowledged until I got to a place later in my early 30s to realize, like, wow, that's where it stems from. That emotional security and feeling worthy and feeling safe, that stemmed from that. And so that affected not just relationships, but my relationship with art. Because again, it all is connected. My relationship with who I am and everything that is connected to me. So that has a ripple effect on everything. So with that being said, as I exited the relationship, I went to a whole other state. I traveled all the way to California. And, here I am jumping. It's like jumping from relationship to relationship, but in reality, you're not really facing your internal battle. You're not really facing yourself, because that energy in a way shows up in someone else or something. And so me going to that relationship with this particular person, I knew that wasn't something I wanted. I knew that wasn't something I needed. But then again, it was something still to show me. It was what I needed in a way to really reflect back to me. But I had met someone, and in meeting someone, it really, I don't know what it was, it just really brought me back. I chose that moment again in that part of my life to use my hands to heal rather than harm. And it wasn't so much to heal others, it was so much to really, again, let me heal me first. Let me show up for me first. Now, has it been perfect through that? No, because again, I was still at that moment in my life modeling, still really never facing myself, but at the same moment, being somewhere where I thought I was safe and secure, but I was still naturally drawn back to women. Because again, a part of me, naturally who I am as a man, that attraction wasn't just physical, there was an internal aspect of me that needed to face that emotional, the root of where that emotional insecurity lied, where that safety within myself. So I needed that energetically to interact with women, so that I knew that, okay, why is this? Why am I attracting this? Okay, what was the lesson? So that has been a process for years into me coming into that awakening, until, you know, when I was out there for those few years, that's when I really started to connect with certain women and certain people, to where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm out here for a reason. And I would say that was one of my more, like, if you want to call it spiritual awakenings, or more, you know, coming to my own self-awareness. I realized I was reconnecting to parts of myself I didn't even know what was going on. There was times where I would go try to meditate, try to go do things, or not even just the meditate part, because I don't want to give y'all just this cookie cutter shit to where it's like, oh, it's so beautiful. Nah. That was the first time I've been away from my mother, my family, in that distance in so long. You're talking about from North Carolina to California, and to be away from them. But what I realized, it opened a door for me to heal. It opened the door, and that healing, again, it opened the door for the wounds, for my wounds to be exposed. So then I could realize, like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I'm out here doing this, but you still have emotions. You still have stuff that you have to face. You still have things. It don't matter who you're in a relationship. Don't matter what sex. None of that matters energetically. It's the things that I realized karmically that I could not outrun. It was the, you know, it was things within myself that I knew that I had to really face, because no one else could do it. So it highlighted a lot of abandonment issues within myself. It highlighted a lot of emotional neglect. And so, you know, that's when, again, I was trying to find my way to, in a way, like, escape or move on, because at that moment, I would, you know, my ego would look at it as escape. But now where I'm at now, presently, it's the word, it's the, all of those lessons, because we can be here for hours. All of certain lessons were showing me now, presently, my worth, my value. And so that's why I don't have no shame or guilt around relationships and certain things, because a lot of things I had to become at peace with, because it didn't matter what I went through and who I inflicted pain on. I had to realize, like, yo, it's me. And I'm not saying every relationship was perfect where I was the one doing certain things. It was the awareness around me seeing my value and my worth. So when I'm saying that, it's like when I look at my masterpieces, there's no amount of money, because to me it's beyond. When I say it's beyond that, this shit, every stroke of the brush is intentional. Every breath, everything that goes into this is intentional. It's love, and it's not just love. It's authenticity, and authenticity, in my perception, you know, from it, is every emotion. I don't cry. I don't got angry. I don't have my princess, my partner. I've had interruptions where I got frustrated. I've had talks. I had done things around. I'm talking and trying to breathe. My princess comes up to me. Oh, I want to do this, and I'm painting it. I'm letting the emotions come up. It's fucking everything in this. This is why I feel like what every artist want to scream and say. It's like, yo, when we created something, everything goes into that shit, bro. Even if someone on the other end of the spectrum creating some type of music, whatever it is, their anger, their emotion, whatever it is behind it, is still, whether they know it is unintentionally or intentional. Sometimes I feel like sometimes we can say things because sometimes we're not aware, or, you know, because of the programming of things that we have, you know, subconsciously think that we have to be and so forth, or being so disconnected from, we can say things. And that's why I see with certain music or certain things that we can say things through anger. But even with everything, there's still a frequency or vibration behind it. There's still an intention behind it. That's just universal law. What you put out, you get back. So when you talk about certain music, when they putting stuff out there, and it has a way of just, it's like a boomerang effect. It's going to return. So, like, that's how it is, yo. Like, my shit is, I'm sensitive about my shit. I'm sensitive about, you know, this creation. Because I gave birth to this. That's why you see the lotus giving birth to, this aspect of myself where I realize now I've gotten to a place where, I'm going at my own pace, we all have a rhythm. I tell people all the time, put your hand over your heart, wherever you are, if you can find a place of silence and solitude, and listen to your own heartbeat. We all have a rhythm. And the oneness of all of that is that rhythm connects us all universally. It's just like a song or a music or anything. So when you look at humanity and when you look at everything, when you see how the world is, we have not been in sync. Synchronicity. We haven't been in synchronicity with source. Source is like, the Most High. Source is that conductor. Conducting all of this shit. So the illusion is people want to assume that they have power, and they're literally, it's not that you don't. It's funny because I got this shirt on. It says powerful. But the funny thing about powerful is full. You're full of power, but at the same time, it's the illusion that has been given that a country, a people, just all these illusions that the powers that were, when we see the mental fuckery, just bullshit, this the shit that people even assume that like they have power over something. And that's the thing we battle with, our own internal battle, where we let the darkness consume or we let the light, it's a balance. It's about being neutral. So you're talking about source is orchestrating, or, the humanity is the orchestra. Let's put it like that. The conductor is source, the Most High, whatever the higher power is. But for people to actually believe that there is no, it's not equality, but equal balance in things. When we talking about a balance between, the dark and light, good and evil, whatever you want to perceive it as. That's a universal law of things. What you put out, you get back. So again, the beauty of this is like we all are here. What humanity or what we haven't been in is synchronicity with ourselves. When you look at a radio, it says tune, like tune in. When you're trying to find a station, you're trying that, and notice how all that shit like looks like a frequency. When you're trying to tune into a station, and it's like your life. It's like our lives have been in a way, like I look at my life like staticky. When I'm talking to someone, I realize like, it sounds like static, or when they talking to me, it's like they don't comprehend, or they don't understand, they're not in tune with what you're saying. Hello. Simply because they haven't met themselves to the depths of who they are, or they're disconnected from that source, or will be disconnected because again, the powers that were, people have assumed that this is the all be all. And that's the thing that I sit back and laugh and be like, watch all this shit crumble. Because as in birthing a new process of yourself, you go through the old versions and give gratitude. You're able to look back on those old versions and yourself like, man, oh my gosh, I'm grateful. That's how I'm able to reflect on every version. Because in someone else's mind, whether I was in a relationship with this person, whether they met me here, you're talking about hundreds and thousands or even millions of people. Everyone's going to have their perception. But what matters is that, are you in tune with yourself? Are you in tune with source, with the higher power, to receive that message? Because you remember, you got to tune in. If it ain't statically, you get the message clear. And see, this is what's being restored within us all, those who are in alignment. The clearer the message, because I'm still adding stuff, it's like the more focused I am, the clearer the message is. And so that's why I'm able to, just exude or express the versions of myself that I don't have to feel ashamed for. I could care less if someone wants to assume or criticize the fact of, well, you did this or you did that. That has already happened. I've already had those screaming from the sidelines and and that's cool. That's cool because nothing's going to stop the show. I'm very much aware that there is something higher guiding all of this. You see, that's the thing that, you know, certain things want to distract you from that. That's not like, no, not I. So again, the process of even how these things came to be, when I look at even all of my art and certain things, there were things that I was in tune with. There was things I was aware of. There was things that was coming out of me, purging. This is a purge. Yeah, you're seeing the beauty in this, but you know not the fucking depths of the pain. You only know what you see here, what you're getting on YouTube, but you don't know the backstory. You don't know the people. That's the beauty of all this. Even the ones who orchestrated this. How everything in your life is truly aligned. You cannot mess this up. That's what the divine showed me. You cannot mess this up. How everything is pieced together. How I was going to throw something out, you know, or donate something, and this picture that was blank was there. And I had to ask myself, you know, that new version of me, that version of me that at that moment when I said, and I'll just be authentic, it's like I'm gonna show you it's not about the money. It's not about what you currently have, because would you rather go out there and in that moment, it's not what I had. Like at that moment in my possession, I did not have the money to get the painting. But the faith walk, or what the divine has already shown me, is like where I showed you that your masterpieces are going to be out there in the world, or you're going to connect to this, or this is all connected. Can you have the faith, or can you have the courage to pick that masterpiece up, listen to the message that you're receiving, and deliver it, no matter what you're currently going through? So yes, I did. I got the one I just previously did, and I got this one. I was like, you know what? I don't even know. And see, the beauty of this is that the unknown is what most people fear. I didn't know how this was going to come to be. You know, that's the process of life. That's the reward in life. You know, I went through every emotion, going through every emotion, not knowing, you know, okay, am I going to have enough paint? Am I going to have enough this? And I realized everything is already here now, presently. If not, it will present itself. So now I was like, you know what? Wow. That's the acceptance of really accepting a life where you are currently. That's in itself prosperity, success, fulfillment, accepting where you are currently. And no, that's not the all be all. For me to having to get to this place where I needed to expose myself, and exposure is great, because exposure is not just me telling you everything I went through and how I was with this person, how I went through this phase. The exposure of that is like, you know, that's the polarity of it. The negative is not just the bad. You know, I talk about this, the negative side and the positive side. So the darkness is me, expressing you, I went through this to get to. But the exposure is also no difference in this. It's like it's growing out. It's the flower or the lotus has to expose itself from the mud. From the mud. So when I look at my life in the dark aspects, the divine is like, what you went through up to this moment is your soil, is your foundation. Everything you went through is your foundation. The foundation is the soil, the dirt, the roots of who you are, the darkness. So the beauty of that is you realizing that you are the flower that blossomed. You are the seed that has been growing. You are the seed, the soul. You are that is growing. And so, you know, one other thing I had to realize is that I had to be mindful of me being who I am, is who's coming to water me now, or who's coming to try to pick from my fruit, and or, you know, certain things like that. Who's coming to try to do certain, and that's when a discernment, a lot of things come in to where you more self. I had to become more aware. I had to become more intentional, to really realize like the soil that I grew up in, the environment or people, all of them represented certain aspects to where whether I was being watered or poured into, or whether my soil, I had to learn to, how those of you that know about gardening and preparation, you have to till the land, the dirt, certain things you have to see, like, can this be planted here? Is this, will this survive here? Or will this prosper here? Will my fruit prosper? What type of harvest would I receive? And things in life is that's what we have to realize. I realized in my journey is that certain places that I was at, I always prospered everywhere I went to. It's just how I looked at it. It wasn't always, I was still prospering. You're still prospering. The beauty of it all is that you have to see what did you harvest from what you have sown? The seeds that you have sown, what have you what is prosperity to you? And that's the thing, again, to where to some of us, it can seem that what's great for someone else may not be great for this person. What is good for this, what can be an abundance or a lot for someone can be, I heard an elder say, can be in a prison for someone else. Because their mind may not be wrapped around this part of why this person have all of this, and they may want to be a minimalism. I myself realized that I accepted that part of myself. I was like, a part of me had a lot to do with, I was able to use what I had. So I'm grateful for the environments that it's not so much where I was not watered. I was grateful for the survival now to be able to thrive, because those survival aspects still showed me, whether my mom was doing her best, my grandmother and so forth, it still showed me to be relentless. It still showed me to to know that I can get through it, basically. It all how everyone perceives it. Because now when I see that I'm thriving and I let go of that survival mentality, I realize, like, wow, I don't have to look over my shoulder. I don't have to feel like I got to protect myself from this or that, or, coming back into being restored with security and feeling worthy and feeling safe. That's when I realized I've already been thriving. So it's a mentality as well. I had to change my mentality. I had to go through those, see where I was not being nurtured, me as a flower. See where I was not being fertilized, seeing where I was not being supported emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, by a people, by a country, an environment. It's all, it's different perspectives about it. So for me, I realized is that I had to use what I had. And the beauty of it is, like, why do I need to cut any corners? Why do I need to feel like I have to get ahead of someone else? Or why do I feel like I have to hold these emotions in anymore? Or, feel like I gotta protect myself from, not really protect, but, yes. In me pointing to myself and expressing myself is realizing like I needed to protect that creation, more so be more intentional and be aware that, this is bigger than just societal norm or what anybody else has to say. This can be bigger and important to me and vital. So, the awareness is that the evolution of the growth is like, this is the stage now I've evolved within myself to see that I am the lotus, or I am that part of myself where I can listen. I can go at my own pace where I did not want to go with societal norms or feel like, oh, I gotta go out here or I gotta listen to this. This is society said this is what it is to be a man. Society said this is what it is to be a melanated, a dark man. Society's, this person, this, this, all these distractions, all these energies, all this shit trying to distract or keep you from really being you, going at your own pace. Because no one's like you. That's the thing that I had to accept, is that no one is like me. That's what makes me rare. Is when I've accepted that and realized like I could just sit back now and just go at my own pace. Do what I need to do and allow that to have a ripple effect on everybody. And so, yeah, it's, whew. I'm gonna get out this because I know I gotta get back. I was waiting on this to dry, my other pedal. It really look like a pedal, but and I just want to share that with y'all today. Like, it's as an artist and just realizing the stages and the different phases I had to go through to get to where I'm at within myself. And that's the thing that you don't see. That's the things that in a society where we're so quick to judge, or a society that has preyed on our woundings, or so many things that has convinced us to have this repressed envy, these repressed emotions, only for us to now face a lot of things to where it allows us to really be authentic. You gotta grant yourself, give yourself that permission to be you, and then that you're going to see the versions that you have hated or wanted to run from or wanted to mask for so long. And that's the thing which is being beautifully illuminated right now, is that we're seeing so much stuff crumble right before us, the old world as we knew it. And that really shows us even how we had a part in enabling it. Or, as an artist, I never wanted to be like anyone else. I just never had wanted to really be like any other artist. I always felt like a part of me, I could see me reflected in a lot of artists. I be inspired by them. The old world will have you focus on, or the programming around, like, they got this much from this, and why can't I get this much? I was in that rut for a while, believing like, wow, how did they get this much for that? I'm like, I could do better than that. And see, a lot of that was programming. A lot of that was my own insecurities, or even being around environments where you had people that had these insecurities around the jealousy and envy. And it showed me even the family dynamic that I was around, the false narrative even around what value really is, and how it truly is limitless. So it truly is like priceless in a way. And how energetically who we are, what we are the currency first. We are like what we give our energy to. So that in itself says a lot about how valuable we are, and as the world shifts into this, more of a self-awareness, or this awakening happening in humanity, we'll realize like how in sync we haven't been, and how the world has been in sync or more in tune with destruction, or in a way of like, I don't want it, because a lot of that is polarity. Like, you need destruction for creation, but more in sync with things that have not been harmonious, or things that have not been authentic, things that have not been, well, they basically, I'll just say it this way, we've seen humanity, or, as a whole, been more in sync or focused on things that are of a lower nature, or lower vibration, if you want to say it. And the inauthenticity of really showing up and being who you are to the depths of your soul, to your, who you are, naturally, who to be. We all have natural gifts. And, one thing as one of my gifts is being, just as an artist, I realized like I had to see the beauty in how, again, my life represents the soil, but me myself being that flower or being that tree, me being that, that bears, what type of fruit am I bearing? And, or with that, even with my actions, what type of seeds am I sowing? And so am I surprised when things, whether it's years ago or moving forward now, sometimes, these things come up to where are we like, it brings awareness like, oh my gosh, I won't ever, never do that. I won't never do that again. Like, and that's the thing about worth, self-worth and value is when we become aware of the program, we realize like, oh my gosh, like what was I, and you need not beat yourself up. I went through those stages where I didn't know how I was going to come out of, how I was going to get through it, where I was going to get the genuine support from, not just go to someone and talk about everything. And, it has a lot to do with it again. Really getting into and standing in your own truth, really getting to know who you are beyond what anyone else has shown you or told you to be. Who are you before the world or anyone told you who to be? And just realize you've always been growing. You are the seed that will continue to grow. And your seeds, your descendants, same thing. It's the intention now behind what we're doing. And again, as an artist, me having to even get to this place, it took years, months. It wasn't no cutting corners. I reflect on everything now. I have so many memories coming in from certain things that I was like, I wanted to forget about, or I was like, why is this coming up? But in reality, all of those things were a part of me presenting this masterpiece or even talking about it. And that's the thing I feel like a lot of us, you find within yourself what you're just naturally like. I don't care if you're funny. It's just, you just naturally, you hear people say, man, oh, or she can, yeah. Something natural, because in any way you can be an inspiration. In any way, we need you. You are needed. That was one of my times where I was in stages where if I didn't have my art, if I didn't have certain things, I wouldn't. I didn't feel. There was moments where I didn't feel needed in the sense of seen or whether it's not just accepted. It's more so like just the acknowledgement of just trying to be a spiritual being, having this human experience, or just even being treated like a human. In a way of just in a peaceful, harmonious way. That reciprocity. And again, there's so much programming, different programmers around a country that doesn't even respect or reciprocate the love, the admiration, or the support, in these structures for men such as myself. Without the monitoring, without these bullshit guidelines or certain things that you gotta go through just to get approval or acceptance or accolades or just basically the recognition. And it's not things that I'm looking for to get through that. It's the reality to know like these structures, there's the corruption, the manipulation, and all of it. And that's all right. It's cool. But I realize now in my world, in my universe, in my reality, that the world has to and will be shaped around who I am. And that's because I choose to take my power back. I choose to be my authentic version of myself. And that's not concerned because I don't expect a world that isn't, an old world, old narrative that isn't what reflects my core value to be even accepting of that. So that's where, you know, your soul or who you are can guide you to places or environments and so forth. And you let that energy bend or, you know, mold itself around what you're creating, because the beauty of that, of being a generational curse breaker or being a healer or being someone who, a holistic teacher or artist and so forth, your essence, your aura, who you are internally was never meant here, was never sent here or to be here to conform to the old matrix, old world, the old programming. Some of us, you know, I notice I carry that energy of when I stand in my power and be authentic to create a ripple effect. And that shit is like occurring because certain ripple effects, certain ties in itself has an effect to where it can wash ashore and really create damage or destroy certain things, only for that to be rebuilt or restructured or recreated in another way. So it can be looked at it from different ways, but at the same moment, my creations and what I'm here to do is to reinvent, recreate, reshape, redefine, refine in any way and always what artistry is, what it embodies, because I am the embodiment of art, of creation in itself, the energy. And so before someone can come along and tell me anything about what it is I'm here to do, check yourself. That's all. Check yourself. Because that's where I battled with a lot when I was also going through this phase of with my artistry. It's like, oh, you know, I hear people, you gotta put it in a museum. I never cared about that. I never cared about it. And you know, my honest opinion on it, my honest expression with it is that, what sense did it make? When I looked at museums, I looked at, you know, stolen or artifacts or certain shit to be put in a place to be hoarded, to hoard certain things, and then people got to pay to come see something that was not authentically there, that's not its foundation. But the manipulation all around it, no. I wouldn't want to put my stuff somewhere where I've always said basically this, the world in itself, everything around here, no matter what country or wherever I'm going to, is my museum. And when I mean my museum, it's like, that's the bigger picture to me. Wherever I can go to create something, my museums is putting creations into communities where little boys and girls that look like me, that may not look like me, can see something they've never seen before. It's before I go put some shit in a museum that's just gonna sit there, dust, you know, get dust and so forth, and then put a price up. Nah, I'm Gucci. Go big. Put your stuff on everything. Let the world see it. That's what we came here to do. When you have a ripple effect on something, that ripple ripples, that frequency, because when you look at a ripple, it goes on forever, baby. So when someone try to tell me, you can't come over here put no limitations on me, bruh. Anybody. There ain't no limitations over here. So, again, the beauty of this is that I've heard it all. When people say, oh, you should do this, you should. And there were times where, you know, you're naive, you're like, oh, let me try this. And then you knew that by not listening to your intuition, you know, I should have did this. But guess what? When I say you cannot mess this up, that's the beauty of when you rise again, when you get up and you realize, like, you are living a dream. This is a dream, and you are really fulfilling your dreams. I had to change my mind when I realized, like, yo, hold on, I remember I did this masterpiece, or I remember I did this, and this. You know, it's not about the boasting, it's about the gratitude to be like, I would have never thought that I would meet people and in exchange use a masterpiece for a book. Stop playing with yourself. Whatever you're doing, you do not got to go about it in this celebrity ways or this other way. See, that was the misconception, because it was all trying to make it, you know, this powerless or in this way of manipulating people to manipulate energy to make it seem like You gotta look to this type of programming or structure, certain things to get there and to be and to make it, or to even classify yourself as valuable. It's a lot. Why do you think it's crumbling? Bravo, bravo. And in reality, authenticity can't be bought. You cannot threaten authenticity. Obviously, you're seeing the threat when it comes to these structures because there was nothing authentic about it. There was nothing. And you choose to use that. But that, again, when I look at the people who I grew up in certain environments, the demographics, they don't have a lot of access to certain stuff. So for me on my path, for you to even, some of us, there were times I went where I didn't even have the resources or the money. But the resources was there when I realized I was the resource of source. I realized I had to take the faith and realize it was already going to be there. Everyone's journey is not like that, but at the same moment, we all go through these transitions, these transformations, these rebirth process to realize, like, can you realize that you are the resource, like recycle of source, of the creator? What are we copying? How can someone copy? Or, they can't duplicate the original blueprint. I am the blueprint. Once you know that, you realize they got to come to you. You the blueprint. You the blueprint. Everyone here, once you see your value, you realize you are the blueprint of all of this. Everyone is the blueprint. No matter what type of energy or whatever they're operating in. Their purpose is here to act the way they acted. And, like, again, on my path as a creator, as an artist, I realized, like, I had to see those things just for me not to do it. Just for me not to go about it that way. I had to go down that path. I had to go down, what did my intuition say, though? Nah, bro, you don't need to do this. I don't want you to go this and do that, do that. Divine been, come on, man, just go. Like I said, yeah, people, the reality is, like, when I went to certain places and see how certain things were displayed, I was not sent here to conform to that. I was not here to do it that way. It's just what it is. That's one of the hard, difficult things we want to accept on our own journey. Everyone's journey is not the same, but within yourself that that's not what no. The energy does not lie. And what comes naturally will come effortless. It will naturally flow. And so again, it's a lot of things I saw on my journey. It was something, I don't even know why I wasn't in one of the parts of the video I was talking about something, but it is what it is right now. Just be intentional, man. Be you for you. No one can be you better than you. And that's the thing that go water yourself. So then you can be open to those who will water you as well. It's a process. It's been a process of, again, this reflects me knowing my worth to see the rebirthing process. This is now I realize what I realize again, what I need to know that it reflects me. I don't need to be around certain people for the divine to see my worth, for the Most High to know that I'm valuable, or myself to know I'm valuable. I don't need to be around people with certain status. What status is any? I see it don't matter the money or stuff people have. When I see those little kids in communities and certain things, when I've been in environments where you can have a child with a smile on his face just by having a toy or certain things. At a point in my time that toy you got from that certain place where you ate, a lot of us didn't have steak and stuff. Hey, I was grateful for that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, as these illusions, a lot of things just fall away. What is valuable to you, yo? The reason why this is priceless in a way, in my meaning that the when I say priceless, it's like the effect, the what it took for me to get here, and how will it impact the little boys and girls that will see this, and the message behind it, the energy. It's the energy behind it. It's the intention. And so I want you to be able to feel it. That's what this is about. It's that you can feel it. You can feel that. You know. Let me go ahead and finish this, man. I love y'all. Peace and blessings on your journey, harmony. Just know that it's gonna be all right. And remember, go to the beat of your own drum. Listen to yourself. We all have a rhythm here. No one is greater than nobody here. No one. And that's what the divine is finna remind a lot of people about. No one is greater. We all are valuable. Okay? So, shuck and jive up out of here. Peace and blessings. Shalom.